What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the introductory video for a series that I would like to do as I proceed forward with my cutting phase, and that's going to be what the series will detail is kind of the cut from the beginning to the end. Basically, the thought process that I have with these videos is kind of doing a weekly series. I'm planning on these kind of being a little shorter, maybe 10 minutes or less as compared to something that's a little bit more drawn out and cinematic, we'll call it. I don't have like super high level editing skills and everything, but as far as kind of the longer vlogs with the B-roll and everything, I kind of just want to limit this to being a little bit more almost like a check-in. I kind of want this to be almost like a check-in for myself, kind of trying to get back into prep mode here as we get the cutting phase started. So I'm going to try and make a weekly to-do of this, but if for whatever reason I miss it for reasons, then I'll try and cover multiple weeks at one time. But this will be a fun little series to not only get me kind of back into the YouTube game, but I think also maybe educate some of you guys on some things and kind of just give you guys my thought process as I am going through this cut and maybe why I'm making the decisions that I'm doing and the thought process and everything behind those. I think really what this is going to come down to is me sitting down at the end of the week and just kind of thinking back on the previous week and recapping that and just kind of talking about if things need to change in terms of my training, nutrition, supplementation, steps, cardio, etc., and kind of talk about how things are unfolding, because as I kind of hinted to a little earlier, the itch to compete for me is pretty strong. I really am looking to do a prep sometime in the near future. I will probably reference things as I kind of get through this video, but I'm filming this on Labor Day, actually, in the United States, September 1st, and which means that we just finished up August, and August was an absolute whirlwind of a month. I kind of covered that in my previous vlog. If you haven't seen that, check it out. But my sister got married in August. We had some friends come into town. My birthday was in August, and we just had a lot of things that were happening in August. But now that August has kind of subsided, it's kind of looking like a lot of the major life events like weddings and things like that for the foreseeable future are off of the calendar, which kind of opens up some availability to maybe compete if that is what I decide to do. The first step of kind of looking at competing is kind of getting back into what I will call prep-like habits, and I'll probably reference those a little bit more as we kind of go forward, but just kind of getting that ball rolling again. Obviously getting rolling with fat loss and transitioning from being in a caloric surplus into being in a caloric deficit, and then everything that kind of goes along with that. So we're going to kind of break this down section by section, and we'll just kind of cover everything as we get further into the video. Okay, so the first section that we'll go over, which is arguably going to be the most prominent and in my opinion is definitely the most important with transitioning from off-season or a bulking phase into a fat loss phase, is the calories and the nutrition, right? So at peak off-season body weight, which peaked at 213 point something, I think it was 213.8. I was eating 4,750 calories on training days and 4,500 calories on my rest days. The only difference between the training day and the rest day is the intra workout. I have 50 grams of carbs and 12 to 15 grams of protein from EAA's intra workout, and if you do the math on that, that comes out to be 250 calories. But The 5 meals that I have every day, they're the same between training days and rest days. They're not changed. The only thing that's different is the intra. I am going to do a full day of eating video soon, hopefully sometime this week or next, where I talk about what my starting cutting diet is and how that is different meal by meal from where it was in peak off season. But overall, I've made a 1,500 calorie decrease, going from 4,750 to 3,250 on training days, and then 4,500 to 3,000 even on the rest days. We'll obviously detail the specifics of that when I make that video, so stay tuned for that. But obviously a pretty hefty calorie increase. There's a couple reasons for that. One, my appetite at my peak off-season calories was super low. It was just a struggle to eat my meals every day, and I was getting everything down, but it was getting to be tough. And so I want to make a prominent pull on my calories in case, as I get further into this cut and I get leaner and I start to get a cleaner visual on the physique, I kind of start to realize, okay, you know, maybe I should just make this kind of like a mini cut and then turn around and go back and do a surplus and build more muscle, or are we going to actually move forward with this and potentially have this be a pre-prep cutting phase. In order for me to make that decision, I need to get a little bit leaner just to get better visuals on what I actually look like. But in case this is just going to be a mini cut, I want to get things moving right away. I want to make a pretty hefty pull to get things moving. And especially with my appetite being as poor as it is, I can get my appetite back quicker, making a more prominent calorie increase, so that if I do go back into a surplus, the appetite will be there. So that's kind of twofold. It's kind of insurance in case this cut ends up just being like a short mini cut, or even maybe not necessarily a mini cut. You know, I don't really want to put a label on it whether it's going to be a mini cut, because mini cut implies that it has to be super short. I just am looking forward to getting lean and then just kind of playing things by ear and seeing how the physique develops. And if I think that what I'm looking at as I get leaner is, you know, gonna be like, I don't want to say worth putting on stage, because that just kind of sounds like super body dysmorphia type. But I'm really focused on making sure that the next time that I compete is a significantly better presentation than what I put the first time. And if I can't guarantee that, then, you know, I'm fine with postponing the competition. So I'm really just kind of focused on making sure that the next time that I do it is super improved. Now, as far as like steps and cardio and things like that, my steps right now in the off season are averaging about 6,000 per day, and I'm not gonna make any changes to that. I'm predicting that I'm gonna be able to lose weight and lose fat pretty quickly, just making that pretty hefty calorie decrease. But I'm not gonna make any changes to the steps or anything like that. If I need to, that's a super easy change for me to make. But right now I'm not really making an effort to get more expenditure in. At the moment, I'm not doing any direct cardio, which is not necessarily something that I'm proud to admit, but I would like to get back on the cardio regime purely for blood pressure and heart health and things like that. I've talked about this on my channel before. I don't actually think that cardio is like a super efficient way of burning calories, but I do want to get back into doing cardio just purely for the cardiovascular benefits and everything like that. But at the moment, I'm not doing any direct cardio at all. So I'm not making any changes to my expenditure in terms of steps or direct cardio, and I'm just making that noticeably big pull on the calories to kind of get things moving. By the way, if I have not already put them up, my progress pictures that I took from this morning. The progress video will be overlaid over here. I'm sure I've already played it by now. These are kind of tough for me to look at. You know, I think this is the body dysmorphia kind of talking pretty loud, but I'm just not particularly happy with the posing and the current physique at the moment. Obviously I'm fat, you know, I'm at the heaviest weight and heaviest body fat percentage that I'm at as of this bulk. Two, I need to shave. I'm hairy. I haven't trimmed my body in a while. That's an excuse, but and then my posing is like super rusty. I said earlier, August has been super busy. We've been doing a lot of traveling, and I have admittedly not been taking any progress pictures or practicing my posing basically during the entire month of August. So I'm super rusty on that. And before that, I was really only taking my pictures like once a week, just to kind of do my basic like progress pictures and everything. So, and it could have been a little bit more focused for sure. So that's another thing. I kind of want to reinforce that habit of getting back into consistent posing and making more of an effort to that. So the posing is rusty, but you know, that's an excuse. That's copium. I'm obviously a little chunky. I'm soft, but you know, I'm confident that I've built decent muscle since the last time that I've competed, and I just need to get a little further into the cut to be able to verify that for sure, to be able to put accurate like side-by-side progress pictures up. And then let's talk about training. So I actually find myself in a really good spot with training. As I mentioned before, we had a lot of events in August, and between my sister's wedding, I took a full week off of that, and then the week that I returned from Tennessee from my sister's wedding, we had just a short couple of days until we had some friends come into town for like a music festival and a baseball game and some stuff that we had pre-planned to see. So during that week, I only got 2 normal training sessions in before I had a back-to-back rest over the weekend. So I'd have to look at how many times it is, but I've only trained 2 times, probably over the course of the last 13-14 days, and my body feels super fresh. Yesterday's training session, I was literally, as I was warming up and going through the training session, the whole time I was thinking, my body feels so good and so rested and recovered, and mentally I feel rested and recovered. A lot of those training sessions around the time of getting ready for the wedding and everything were good, but I was like kind of dreading doing them just because of my mind was elsewhere. I was the officiant of my sister's wedding, so I wanted that to go smoothly, and I had some other things that were going on, but I was still in the gym, still beating numbers, and everything was still going good, but I was kind of having to give myself a pep talk to like get to the gym every day. And now I'm back to a point where I'm actually looking forward to training again, which is great. And then obviously, as I said, my body is refreshed and ready to go. It's actually, it's funny because the last workout that I did before I left for Tennessee and took a week off, I ran into a buddy of mine at the gym right when I got there, and we were just talking, and I said, today's my last workout before I take a week off. And he asked me, how do you do with that? Like, how often do you do that, basically, type of thing? And basically what I told him is every time that it happens, I get stressed. I'm kind of nervous about doing it, and the break from the routine is kind of something that causes me stress. And every single time that it happens, when I come back from the week off, I always think that was so positive. There has never, unless it's forced because of like a sickness or an injury or something like that, there has never been anything negative that has happened to me from taking a week off or taking time off. I've taken 11, 12 days off last year, and literally only positive things happen from that. Physically and mentally, I'm refreshed and ready to go. My body feels great. The inflammation is down. My desire to train is higher. So literally only positive things happen from that. And yet still every time that it happens, I get nervous and I get stressed about it. And then usually like a day or two into the trip or the vacation, I kind of relax and I can kind of chill out with that. And then by the time I get back, I am just so ready to go. So I'm actually in a really, really good spot with training. If I haven't by now, I've been overlaying some training clips of the last week. Numbers are actually really good. I've been able to progress everything. Yesterday's session, I progressed everything. So I was a little kind of worried about that with that quick drop in body weight. You know, over the course of a week, I went from 213 to 206, and a lot of that is, as I said, water and glycogen and stuff like that. But I was still kind of worried that that would have a negative impact on training, and seemingly so far it hasn't. So I'm not going to be making any changes to the training or anything either. I feel refreshed, and I kind of think of this last week and a half time frame as like a deload that life has forced me to take, but it's just worked out so perfectly. I'm just so ready to get back after it and get back to kicking butt in the gym. So really looking forward to getting caught up with some good strings of training here. I think that's really everything that I wanted to cover for kind of the introductory video here. You know, I will be making a full day of eating video sometime soon. That will come after this video. But as far as kind of talking about the transition from where I was in the peak off season to where I'm getting started with this cut, I've really kind of laid out a lot of the X's and O's. As always, I hope this video kind of prompts some questions or some conversation. So if it does, please leave questions and everything in the comments below. I kind of mentioned this at the beginning, but I really am hoping that maybe you guys could maybe learn something. Not that I'm a super intelligent guy that you should you know, aspire to learn from, but maybe you guys can understand something that I mention in this series, kind of as I think about things that maybe can get you to think about your training and nutrition in a different way. So if there's questions or conversation, let's have it in the comments, please. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope that you like videos like this. I hope that you're excited for the series, and I'm excited to keep making these. So talk soon, guys. Let me know if I can do anything for you in the comments, as always. And as always, guys, take care of yourselves and train hard.